So today we are going to learn about lung and pleura. Starting with how the lung develops. The lung develops from the ventral portion of the foregut. We don't say anterior, we say ventral. In the lower part, मतलब ये pharyngeal arches ऊपर है या तो ये pharyngeal arches का जो lower most part है. So now if you are looking from inside, जो भी आ रहे हो attendance देखेगा बच्चा. Now when you are looking from inside the foregut, you see a laryngotracheal groove. laryngotracheal groove अंदर से दिख रहा है. मतलब ये मैं फोरगट में बैठा हूँ, ये एंटीरियर वॉल है, सडनली मुझे वहाँ पे ग्रूव दिखने लगता है. दिस इज व्हेन यू लुक फ्रॉम हियर. नाउ इफ यू आर लुकिंग फ्रॉम द साइड, नाउ दिस इज द साइड व्यू. फ्रॉम द साइड व्यू दिस ग्रूव deepens and goes down. This groove deepens and goes down, becomes a laryngotracheal diverticulum. Till now we were calling it laryngotracheal groove. Now it has become laryngotracheal diverticulum. This is view from posterior aspect. Okay, this is view from the side. So ये ventral dorsal नहीं है, ये ventral और ये dorsal. Now the view when we are looking from the front, this laryngotracheal diverticulum comes down and divides into two principal bronchi, and end of which develop lung buds. Okay, now I am going to draw you. For those who are not attending the classes, the score they get in the second term is, कैसा दिख रहा है? क्या ये? अंडा is अंडा. This is actually the peritoneal. We are talking about the body cavities, which are like this. Further, what happens? The body cavity gets divided into three: pericardial cavity, peritoneal cavity, and peritoneal cavity. They are connected to each other by pericardio-peritoneal membranes. What are the membranes? Sorry, what are the canals? Pericardial. अरे बोलो होता ना है. So these are pericardio-peritoneal canals. What are these? From this, so pericardial cavity develops from here, peritoneal cavity develops from here, and pleural cavity develops from pericardio-peritoneal canals. These canals are bounded from the inner side by the splanchno-pleuric mesoderm, from outer side by somato-pleuric mesoderm, somato-splanchno. So this forms the parietal pleura, this forms the visceral pleura. Parietal pleura and visceral pleura. Now this part has to be closed, and this is closed by pleuroperitoneal membranes. What is the name of the membrane? Pleuroperitoneal membrane. Pleuroperitoneal membrane will close. When it closes, Reva, if it is closing and separating the pleural and peritoneal cavity, what organ it will contribute to? What organ, what muscle, what structure? Diaphragm. Diaphragm. So pleuroperitoneal membranes will contribute to formation of diaphragm. So if this is the diaphragm, the posterolateral portions will be contributed by pleuroperitoneal membranes. That means a posterolateral hernia in the diaphragm is because of defective development of pleuroperitoneal membranes. Defective development of pleuroperitoneal membranes. Now what is happening here? What is happening here is, now ये structure को मैं इधर ला रहा हूँ. Trachea, dividing, and lung buds. Okay, lung buds. Now these lung buds will invaginate into the pleuroperitoneal canals. तो पहले क्या होता है, वो ऐसे अंदर जाने को चालू हो जाते हैं, अंदर जाने को चालू हो जाते हैं. It is invaginating. Okay. उसके अंदर घुस जाता है. जो लंग के पास में है दैट बिकम्स विसरल प्लूरा, जो दूर है दैट बिकम्स पैराइटल प्लूरा, और बीच का जो गैप है दैट बिकम्स प्लूरल कैविटी. आर यू विथ मी ऑन दिस? ओके. सो दिस इज हाउ प्लूरल कैविटी इज फॉर्म्ड. ओके. आपको ये सिखाया है ब्रैंकियल आर्चेस, सिखाया है ना, फेरेंजियल आर्चेस. सॉरी मैंने गलती से क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज each arch there is a cleft on the outer side, there is a pouch on the inner side. So first cleft से क्या डेवलप होता है? एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटरी कैनाल, एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटरी कैनाल. सेकेंड क्लेफ्ट से क्या डेवलप होता है? हाँ हाँ कुछ होता है? तो ये जो लोगों को डबल चिन ट्रिपल चिन रहता है ना, ये हम सबको था बचपन में.
Start.
So this is the outer side of our neck. So in our childhood, अभी हम लोग हंसते हैं जिसको डबल चिन होता है, ट्रिपल चिन होता है. We all had so many clefts on our neck. Only the first cleft formed the external auditory canal over here. The second arch overgrows and buries all the cleft, and that's how our neck becomes smooth. Neck becomes smooth because the second arch overgrows and buries all the cleft. Now the point. But sometimes it happens that the second cleft, it does not get buried properly. So all other clefts get buried, but second cleft does not get buried properly. What develops from the second pouch? Tonsil. And second cleft, because it doesn't get buried properly, it forms branchial cyst. It may open into the tonsil. Branchial sinus. Branchial fistula, it may open outside and inside both. So branchial cyst is because the second ectodermal cleft is not buried properly. When that cleft communicates with the pouch, it causes bronchial sinus. It may open into the tonsil or open to the exterior. It may open interior in the pharynx and exterior on the neck. That time it is called as bronchial fistula. You are understanding? Bronchial, so defective development in the second pharyngeal arch can be bronchial cyst, bronchial sinus or bronchial fistula. So understand this, and we now were discussing what happens in the ventral wall of this. Okay, इकडे करंट ना, पॉज कर, रोल नंबर तो बोल जिसके लिए तो आया. So now the pleura, suppose this is the lung. This is the hilum. The pleura which is attached to the lung is the parietal, is the visceral pleura, and the pleura which is attached to the body wall, to the diaphragm, thoracic wall, is the parietal pleura. Parietal pleura is divided into four parts. The part of the parietal pleura which is above, which goes above the clavicle, is cervical pleura. The part which is attached to the diaphragm is diaphragmatic pleura. DP. What is DP? DP. ओके, इसके बाद आपके लाइफ में डीपी क्या है? डायफ्रामेटिक प्लूरा. The pleura which is on the medial side is mediastinal pleura. ओके, mediastinal pleura. पुस्तक उघडून कोण बसले? And this is the costal pleura. Okay, costal pleura. मैं पॉज कर रही थी. Costal pleura, diaphragmatic pleura, parts of parietal pleura, cervical pleura and mediastinal pleura. Pleura, the blood supply, the nerve supply will be same as the body wall, parietal pleura. So it will come from the intercostal nerves, costal pleura. Costal pleura will be supplied by intercostal nerves. Diaphragmatic pleura will be supplied by the phrenic, musculophrenic. Okay, mediastinal pleura also same way. So in general, it is supplied by intercostal and phrenic. Parietal pleura. Visceral pleura will be supplied by the sympathetic nerves which are supplying the lung. Blood supply of the parietal pleura will be same as that of the body wall, intercostal arteries, musculophrenic artery. This will be by the same as the lung. What is the blood supply of the lung? पल्मोनरी आर्टरी क्या है? हम दूसरे लोग का उष्टा खाते हैं क्या? हाँ, व्हाट इज उष्टा? अभी वापस क्वेश्चन पूछो, वापस तो सेम
1 2 3 स्टार्ट.
So what is the blood supply of the lung? पल्मोनरी आर्टरी. पल्मोनरी आर्टरी बोल रहे हैं. हम दूसरे लोगों का उष्टा खाते हैं. उष्टा, व्हाट इज उष्टा? झूठा खाते हैं क्या? दूसरे लोगों का नहीं खाते. पल्मोनरी आर्टरी में क्या है? सबको ब्लड बांट के, धबका, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड लेके, दूषित डीऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड. और तुम बोल रहे कि लंग को वो पल्मोनरी आर्टरी. पल्मोनरी आर्टरी नहीं. पल्मोनरी आर्टरी उधर लंग के पास आता है शुद्ध होने के लिए, फॉर गेटिंग द ब्लड ऑक्सीजनेटेड. लंग समटाइम्स आपने आपके माँ बाप को वगैरह बोला रहेगा ना, आई डिजर्व, या किसी फ्रेंड को भी आई डिजर्व सम बेटर ट्रीटमेंट, बोला है ना कभी लाइफ में, आई डिजर्व. Lung also deserves oxygenated blood, and that oxygenated blood to the lung comes from bronchial arteries. For the left lung, there are two bronchial arteries which arise from descending thoracic aorta, because descending thoracic aorta is on the left side. While for the right lung, there is no aorta on the right side. So the right lung has only one bronchial artery which arises from upper left bronchial artery or the third posterior intercostal artery. So bronchial arteries supply oxygenated blood to the lung tissue. Huh? So blood supply of the lung is by the bronchial arteries. On the left side there are two bronchial arteries, upper and lower, and on the right side त्याला गिल्टी फिलिंग सुद्धा येत नाही आळस देताना. And on the right side there is only one which may arise from upper left or third posterior intercostal arteries, okay, or upper left. Now the lung will also look so this is the right lung, this is the left lung. एकदम बेसिक्स आपको लंग के बता रहा हूँ. लंग हैज एपेक्स, base is also called as diaphragmatic surface. Base is also called as diaphragmatic surface और थोड़ा सा arched रहेगा. On the right side there is liver, on the left side there is stomach. That makes, and it is related to diaphragm. Diaphragm is there in between. Diaphragm is there in between. So inferior surface is also called as diaphragmatic surface. Now this surface of the lung is called as costal surface. Costal surface. So therefore once you understand the pleura properly, then you understand the surfaces also. So the lung will have a costal surface. It has an anterior border which is very sharp. Anterior border is very sharp, and there is inferior border. Anterior border and there is inferior border. Anterior border of the left lung, on the left lung, will not be straight. It will have a notch, cardiac notch. Okay, it will be notched, cardiac notch. Anterior border, posterior border. Okay, posterior border. Posterior border is rounded, anterior border is sharp. Posterior border is rounded, anterior border is sharp. Surface is costal surface and medial surface. So this is medial surface of both the lungs. Medial surface of both the lungs. Now what I have drawn is 2D. When I look at the medial surface, it is a huge surface. The medial surface which is there posteriorly is called as vertebral surface because it comes in contact with vertebra and the disc, intervertebral disc. While anterior part is called as mediastinal surface because that actually comes in contact with structures situated in the mediastinum. Structures situated in the mediastinum. Now what is related to the mediastinal surface? It is very difficult to understand unless you understand the anatomy of the heart. Unless you understand the anatomy of the heart. Thumb.
1, 2, 3, start.
Now what happens is, in the school we were taught that heart is like this. बराबर है? Your first, this is heart in the school. In the college you are taught that heart is like this. Who taught? I don't know, but somebody taught you. Now if I say this is wrong, no. The actual heart is this plus this. And therefore when you look at the actual heart goes like this. Like this. And this, the sulcus between atria and ventricle, it is not horizontal, it is oblique. So these are the atria, right atrium, and these are the ventricles. Now this vertical line dividing the two ventricles goes like this. And so right atrium will be related to the mediastinum of right lung. Okay, and the left ventricle will be related to the mediastinum of left lung. Okay, so this is why to understand the mediastinal surface, you need to understand the anatomy of the heart. So heart is like this. This plus this forms the heart. And the left atrium is actually behind the right atrium. Okay, thank you. तुला वेळ देतो मी तो आता हे पॉज कर. So when we look at the mediastinal surfaces, दोनों लंग के ऐसे mediastinal surfaces आपको ऐसे निकालेंगे, you know, लेफ्ट और राइट के. नाउ ये लंग को थोड़ा सा टर्न किया है हमने, तो उसमें सब जगह ऐसे ट्रकिया दिखाएंगे, दोनों साइड पे ट्रकिया दिखाएंगे, इसोफेगस दिखाएंगे, आगे फ्रेनिक नर्व, पीछे वेगस. बट दिस मेजर पोर्शन ऑन द राइट साइड विल बी रिलेटेड टू द राइट एट्रियम, एंड हियर इट विल बी रिलेटेड टू द लेफ्ट वेंट्रिकल. ओके, ऑन द लेफ्ट साइड, वो दोनों साइड का मैं हाइलम निकालता हूँ. ये हाइलम है. हाइलम इज द part on the mediastinal structure surface through which the structures enter or come out. Running above the left hilum is the arch of aorta. Arch of aorta left side पे जाता है, बरोबर. Right side पे there are veins. तो यहाँ पे रहेगा SVC रहेगा, बरोबर, राइट साइड में. और इधर भी एक आर्च होता है. व्हाट इज दिस आर्च? आर्च ऑफ अजाइगस. और कितनी आळस देते हो बाळा, तो हर इंस्पिरेशन पे ऐसा कर रहा है. So above the right hilum is arch of, and over the left hilum is arch of aorta. So hilum के अगर रिलेशंस पूछेंगे ना, तो आपको क्या लिखना है? Anteriorly passes phrenic nerve in both, posteriorly passes vagus in both. Clear? Above there is an arch. काय नाव बच्चा तुझं? हाँ, सिद्धिका. So what arch is there on the right side? Arch of Azygos. What arch is there on the left side? Arch of aorta. Okay. Anteriorly, what is the relation on both the sides?
Phrenic nerve.
Posteriorly, vagus. Inferiorly, there is a structure called as pulmonary ligament, where that is a potential space of site of union of costal, so site of union of parietal and visceral pleura. वो ना unite होता है, but it leaves a potential space called as pulmonary ligament, because जब आप ये भाग के लेक्चर को आए ना अभी रोशन, तभी excessive venous return होता है, and that is the time we require more space. Hilum requires more space, so there is a structure called as pulmonary ligament below, which is where the pleura is loosely attached, visceral and okay. Now ये जो हाइलम था, ये हाइलम को मैं थोड़ा सा बड़ा करके दिखा, हाइलम को बड़ा करके दिखा रहा हूँ दोनों साइड का, राइट साइड, लेफ्ट साइड. Now this is the place where I am going to draw the veins in red. Most anterior, so this is anterior, this is anterior, this is posterior. ये मेरा बड़ा हो गया एक साइड का, ठीक है, नॉर्मली सेम होता है. ओके. Most anterior structure is pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. Most anterior structure is pulmonary vein on both the sides. Most inferior structure is pulmonary vein. There are two pulmonary veins now. So most inferior structure is also pulmonary vein. The next structure is pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. The next structure is bronchus. 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 तुझ्या मागचा मुलगा जरासा प्रयत्न कर. मला माहिती आहे तू आपला असाच आलायस फिरत फिरत. आपण डॉक्टर बनायला आलायस ना इकडे. हां, फिरत फिरत आलायस, कसाही आलायस. बनणार आहे ना. हां, मग जरा लक्ष द्यायचं, जरा वरती बघायचं. ते मागच्या बेंचवरची दोन करून इकडे बघा ना, मी शिकवतोय ना. तू तर डोळे मिटून बसलायस. ध्यान लावलंयस का? हां, तू ध्यान लावलंयस. या आपका स्वागत. ताली बजाओ इनके लिए. आए. Anterior to posterior, there is the relation is vein, artery, bronchus. Vein, artery, bronchus. Vein, artery, bronchus. Okay? Vein, artery, bronchus. Superior to inferior, artery, bronchus, vein. Superior to inferior क्या है? Artery, bronchus, vein. Anterior to posterior क्या है? Vein, artery, bronchus. Clear? काय नाव तुझं? सिद्धिक. Now on the right side there are two bronchi. Eparterial and hyparterial. One is above the artery, other is below the artery. So on the right side it will be artery, bronchus, vein, but it will be bronchus, artery, bronchus, vein. Right side la bronchus, artery, bronchus, vein, superior to inferior. Okay? So in short, anterior to posterior, it will be, anterior to posterior it will be vein, artery, bronchus. Superior to inferior it will be artery, bronchus, vein. But superior to inferior on the right side will be bronchus, artery, bronchus, vein. So artery, bronchus, vein remains same. इसके आगे bronchus लगाएंगे. Okay? Clear? Now coming to the last part, पण हे सूटबूटमध्ये आलेल्या लोकांनी थोडंसं इथं पुढे येऊन बोर्ड पुसावं म्हणजे आम्हाला या आम्हाला पण बरं वाटतं ना, सूटबुटातली लोक आमच्याकडे So this is clear, the relation. Piyush, next time. Okay. Now one thing about the lung, when there is one fissure called as oblique fissure, which is there on both the lungs, oblique fissure, and on the right side there is horizontal fissure. Left side also this exists, but is not seen. Oblique fissure. So therefore we say that right lung has 3 lobes, 2 fissures, left has only 1 fissure. Okay? Horizontal fissure and oblique fissure. बेचारा एकाच पानावरती यार, दे दो ना उसको पेजेस, वही उसमें गिचमिट करते, गरीब घर से आया हुआ लड़का, उसके नोटबुक भी नहीं है, आप मदद करोगे, कल बड़ा डॉक्टर बनेगा तो आपको आईपैड देगा वो।
1, 2, 3 start.
So see how anatomy helps in all the fields. Initially, when they were not knowing the anatomy of the lungs, suppose there is a tuberculosis on the right side, they used to do pneumonectomy, right lung ही निकाल देते, मालूम ही नहीं था जाता, टीबी है, ज्यादा बढ़ रहा है, ट्रीटमेंट नहीं हो रहा है, लंग ही निकाल दिया राइट साइड. Then they came to know about the fissures, कि there are 3 lobes on the right side, 2 lobes on the left side. Technically there are 3 lobes only, but on the left. Then they said, oh, anatomist, thank you. So now they realize that okay, tuberculosis is in the upper lobe, then they shifted to lobectomy. So from pneumonectomy they shifted to lobectomy. Anatomist kept on dissecting, and then they realized, oh, each lobe has, so the lung is aerated by primary bronchus, lobes are aerated by secondary bronchus. Then they realized there is a special area of the lung which is aerated by the tertiary bronchus, and that is the bronchopulmonary segment. So then they realized that each lung has 10 bronchopulmonary segments, and then they realized, oh, now what we can do is segmental resection. The tuberculosis is here in the apical part, I just remove the apical segment. So this is how anatomists have helped, in clinical, from shifting from pneumonectomy to lobectomy to segmental resection. ये एनाटॉमी सीखने का इम्पोर्टेंस है. So in the upper lobe there is apical, there are 3, apical, anterior, posterior. Apical, anterior, posterior. Bronchopulmonary segments are the segments of the lung which are aerated by tertiary bronchus. उसको bronchovascular segment क्यों नहीं बोलते? Because It doesn't have its own artery. It has its own artery, but doesn't have its own vein. The veins run between the two segments. So there is no separate vein draining for each of the bronchopulmonary segment. So this is clear till now. अभी ये बीच वाला जो है, ये जो बीच वाला है, on the right side there are two segments, medial and lateral. Medial and lateral. Medial and lateral. While on the left side there is superior lingular and inferior lingular. Superior lingular and inferior lingular. What is there on the left side in the middle lobe? Superior lingular and inferior lingular. While right side there is medial and lateral. Why it is like this? On the left side also initially there was medial and lateral. But the heart, it descends. Heart descends. Heart is formed in much cranial portion than its location. It descends down. When it descends down, it pushes this, and the medial becomes inferior lingular and lateral becomes superior lingular. So ये ऐसा ही स्ट्रक्चर था लेफ्ट साइड पे, बट हार्ट जैसे नीचे आ गया तो ये ऐसे हो गया. Therefore, on the right side in the middle lobe there is medial and lateral, and on the left side there is superior lingular and inferior lingular. Now the lower part. लोअर पार्ट में भी अपाइकल है. अभी आप बोलेंगे सर आप क्यों हमको कंफ्यूज कर रहे हैं? अभी तो आपने बोला ऊपर अपाइकल है, फिर आप बोल रहे हैं इधर भी अपाइकल है लोअर लोब का. तो इसके लिए उसका नाम है अपाइकल बेजल. अपाइकल बेजल. Then there is medial basal. Medial basal. Then there is anterior basal. Anterior basal. Then there is lateral basal. Lateral basal. And then there is posterior basal. For your kind information, ये सब एक ही डायग्राम में बेसल वाले दिखा नहीं सकते. Because medial basal will be going almost to the medial side. और पोस्टीरियर बेसल तो मैंने जस्ट आपको समझाने के लिए. सो मीडियल बेसल विल बी हियर, देन एंटीरियर बेसल, देन लैटरल बेसल एंड पोस्टीरियर बेसल. तो मैंने ऐसे ही दिखा दिया. ओके. सो 10 ब्रोंकोपल्मोनरी सेगमेंट्स इन ईच लंग. पृथ्वीराज वही वगैरह काही नाही. तो पृथ्वीराज चव्हाण सारखं शब्दभेदी कान, उसके मालूम है ना आपको, शब्दभेदी कान थे पृथ्वीराज चौहान. सुना है कि नहीं स्टोरी? सो जस्ट बाय हियरिंग द साउंड यूज्ड टू रियलाइज. वैसे वो हमारा पृथ्वीराज बस सुन रहा है, शब्दभेदी कान उसको सब अंदर जा रहा है. So how many bronchopulmonary segments? 10. 3 lobes. Upper lobe में there is apical, anterior, posterior. Middle lobe में there is medial and lateral on the right side. Superior lingular and inferior lingular on left side. In the lower lobe there is apical basal, medial basal, anterior basal, lateral basal and
posterior basal.
Posterior basal. Okay, because all of you have to go, some of you have to go to hostel and get ready and come back. I'm leaving 10 minutes early. I said 10:45, but I'm leaving you so that you can. Okay.